We're all sad. The Bengals lost in embarrassing fashion. They blew a Joe Burrow legacy game. They did the same thing we've seen all year. I'm feeling a little sick. I'm flying solo tonight. Ron's on some secret mission. I'm going to count on the chat tonight. We're going to talk through this. It's going to be like a group therapy session coming up next on Cincy Unfiltered.
Your boys are ready to go. You already know. Grab a garage beer, let's flow. No filter needed. Beer's getting deleted. It's the Cincy Unfiltered show. Let's go. Our boys are ready to go. Our boys are ready to go. You already know. Grab a garage beer, let's flow. No filter needed. Beer's getting deleted. It's the Cincy Unfiltered show. Let's go. Our boys are ready to go.
I thought I was going to have a happy garage beer Sunday night. They laid down in the first half, got down 21-6, I think it was. 27-6. They were down by 21 points. 27-6. And then they pulled me back in. Joe Burrow pulls it out of his pants, starts doing Joe Burrow things. You think we have a shot. The defense gets some turnovers. They get some stops. You think we have a chance. And then they pull the rug out from under us right at the end. And let's be real, this organization is failing Joe Burrow. We're going to talk about it. And instead of having a happy garage beer, I'm going to have I call an emotional support garage beer. Still good. Still delicious. Still the proud sponsor of our show. Not quite as fun as the victory beers. It does take the pain away a little bit. That's good. Got some nasal stuff going on. Do apologize. Felt fine watching the game on Sunday. And then immediately after the game, I started feeling sick. I think the Bengals took every bit of will and fight my body had and just completely expelled it from me that night. So I was not able to fight off whatever's swimming around in my body now. But we're here. The chat's here. I'm going to really rely on you guys today. Like I said, Ron's doing some super secret stuff. And there's already a comment about the bulge. I'm just going to get out in front of it. There was one pre-show from John Paps as well. I posted a picture of myself from my Pee Wee football coaching career, just letting the Bengals know I was available. And some guy that follows me on Twitter complimented my bulge. Very odd interaction. Maybe a nice guy, I don't know, but there was a conversation about it. I don't know how to take it, but that's where we are. So if you see that in the comments, that's what happened. I don't know why he chose to do that, but that is how he chose to approach it. K Breezy says, "Who day? Everybody right now." Deuce asks how we win. We play some defense. We give Joe Burrow just the slightest bit of help on defense outside of a turnover here and a stop here or there. They've got to give him half a fucking game or something. They do love breaking our hearts. They do. I don't know what ESB means, but I'm glad you're here, Fravor. Cam Webb, watching that game was like getting kicked in the balls repetitively in the first half and caught a break and got kicked in the balls. Again, that's about how I would describe it. That's really how I would describe it. Like our balls finally healed from the kicking they took for 15 minutes to begin the game. And then all of a sudden, it felt like we were back. And obviously, make fucking field goals. I don't know what's happening to Evan McPherson. There's issues with kickers league-wide. People have pointed that out, and that's cool. I understand that. But make your fucking kicks, dog. He's the most expensive kicker in the league. He's like 39th in field goal percentage. There's only 32 teams in the fucking league. He's below like guys that are on practice squads that get called up for games because somebody's hurt. We got to figure it out. Yes. News about the Bulls traveled. It got out of hand a little bit. And yeah, pressured on 50% of his dropbacks. And Burrow still gave you those numbers. Am I playing a farming simulator? Yes, it's the only thing I can win at. You know, Chad Waits, I bet you make a good farmer. You got a work truck, so that's half the battle, right? I think you make a good farmer. Carl Richardson says Duke Tobin is a terrorist. That's a little extreme, but understandable comment as well. Rick, I'm sad too, dude. We're all sad. It's been very tough. It was a rough weekend for me overall. I stay up late to watch Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and that was what it was. The following night, I stay up late for UFC. I see Stipe get his ribs just caved in by John Jones's foot. At least that was entertaining. And then I got to stay up late last night. Not last night. I did stay up late last night, but I got to stay up late Sunday night to watch the Bengals do that. I almost went to bed. I almost just turned it off. And then they had to pull me back in. I'm also getting a chorizo quesadilla, so I think Vic needs tacos. We didn't get tacos. Tacos didn't happen today. She's not feeling the greatest either. Everybody in the house feeling a little shitty, except for our child. She still has full energy, and she's kicking the shit out of both of us. He's sick. Leave Drew alone. He doesn't need to be running errands. I'm all right, baby. We're going to soldier through. This is my flu game. This is my Jordan flu game, is what we're going to have to call it. So I really just kind of want to talk it out. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't put together graphics. I didn't put together the stats. I didn't put together a box score breakdown. I want this to be a group therapy session where we can all vent and we can all just talk about it. I got some points I want to hit, but it's gonna be a very free flowing type thing today. I'm up here battling by myself, sweating my dick off already. We're just gonna see what happens. First text from Dad. Got some substance to it. I'm not even waiting till you get to the whole coaching staff needs to go. Bring in a new head coach with some balls to get up the player's ass. And the bullshit about a new snapper and holder is bullshit. All the snaps were good. Money Mac is just off. And Money Mac has had a weird draw to his kicks all year long. And I don't agree that it's about the holder. They've been snapping the ball together long enough. They should have it figured out by now. So I think Dad is absolutely right. And that was kind of a point that I was going to make. If you guys have paid attention to the 5-year rule, the 5-year rule states that if a head coach and a quarterback combo don't win the Super Bowl in their first 5 years, they're not going to do it. And that's where we are with Zach Taylor. Now, do we blame Zach Taylor for the offense looking like shit in the first half? Yes. Do I give Zach Taylor much credit for the offense looking better in the second half? Sort of. There were some good calls. He called a good play to the sticks on a 4th and 2 that we needed to pick up instead of throwing a go ball down the sideline. That's all well and good. But a lot of that, I think, was just Joe Burrow putting this entire team and organization on his back, going off script, getting the shit knocked out of him, finally getting a roughing call for once. I think it was more that than anything. I think this team is winning in spite of the coaching staff and not because of the coaching staff. There are 3 players that are propping this team up right now and keeping them from being a complete laughingstock, and that's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson. And you know what? Zach Taylor is a nice guy. I've met him a couple times. Super nice guy. I'm thankful for what he did in Cincinnati. I'm thankful for the culture change. I'm thankful for taking us to a Super Bowl and giving us that ride. Don't get me wrong, but we're getting to the point where it was like with Marvin Lewis. Now, obviously, Marvin Lewis had 16 years, so it's a little bit different, but it's to the point where it's like, thanks for what you did, but you can't do enough to get us there. And part of the reason he can't do enough to get us there is because this organization is failing the best quarterback that they have ever had. They fooled us. They made us think that they turned the corner when they gave DJ Reader some money. They made us think that they turned the corner when they finally got an indoor practice facility after the Super Bowl year. They made the game day experience at the stadium 10 times better than it was in the past. That is phenomenal. And I'm sure they're all good people. Elizabeth Blackburn is a phenomenal person. Mike Brown, Katie Blackburn, Troy Blackburn, probably good people. Never met them, but I'm assuming that they're good people. But the fact of the matter is, the way that they're running this franchise is not going to work in the modern NFL. You have a top 2 quarterback in the league. Argue with a fucking wall, you have a top 2 quarterback in the league. And you know what they did? They let Jesse Bates go, but the whole idea was we have to let Jesse Bates go to keep that money so we can pay T. Higgins. And now T. Higgins is probably on his way out. They let Von Bell go, and then they brought him back because Nick Scott stunk. And now Von Bell stinks. Jordan Battle played very, very well last year, and he can't get on the field. And I don't know why. But when you look at this from an organizational standpoint, they don't like to guarantee contracts beyond year 1. They don't want to modernize how they do that, Their star wide receiver is playing like the best receiver in all of football, And their negotiations with him went up until the hours before kickoff of week 1 before they fell apart. Rumor is because they didn't want guarantees to kick in until 2027 or something of the sort, if I remember right, which is just insane to me. Give him whatever the fuck he wants. It's the way the NFL works now. They have the smallest scouting department in the NFL. We've talked about that before. Organizationally, they are failing the best thing that has ever happened to them, and that's Joe Burrow. Reality of the situation, they're letting it down. You have to adapt or you die. They gave us the 2021 year. We were young. We were a year early. We weren't supposed to be there. The defense came up in big moments and we got there. That's awesome. But you know what? We got there and we fucking lost. Zach Taylor's offense pissed down their leg the entire second half of the game. Call it what you want. Blame it on whoever you want. That's the reality. They could have turned the Super Bowl into a blowout and they didn't. The fact of the matter is, you just have to make the change at this point. When they're asking Jamar Chase about closing out games in the locker room, and he says, I don't know, I don't call plays, ask Zach. What does that tell you? And then Zach gets up there and says, well, everything's right in front of us. I still believe in us. I get it. He's the head coach. He can't just say, hey, everything's fucked. Let's pack it in for the year. I get that. But he could have a little bit more fight in him and just saying, I believe in Evan McPherson and I believe in our team. No, he should get up there and say, you know what? There's some stuff we have to get better on and we have to get our shit together. Our defense has to get their shit together. They should be able to play man coverage without Justin Herbert running for 50 yards on 2 snaps. They should be able to do that. But look at the roster construction. They paid Sheldon Rankins more than DJ Reader got in Detroit. And I know for a fact DJ Reader wanted to come back. And I think he'd give him better pass rush. Shout out Willie Lutz. He said that on Twitter today. I think that DJ Reader would give a better pass rush than Sheldon Rankins right now. Sheldon Rankins was out on Sunday night, and I said it's not really that big of a deal. He's going to make the same impact as if he would have played. They have to change their ways, or they have to fire this entire staff from top to bottom, because if you cannot change the way that you do business and catch up and pay these players the way that they want to be paid, so they're not pissed off toward the end of their contract, or the free agents don't even pick up your phone call because they know you're not going to structure the deal the way that it should. If you're not going to change that, you have to burn this staff to the ground and try to find the guys that can win with a hand tied behind their back, with a smaller scouting department, with less resources, with less likelihood of extending the draft picks that do hit. You have to. If you're not going to change how you do business and you're serious about this team winning a Super Bowl, you have the guy in the building now who isn't enough to overcome your organizational failures. So if you're not going to do it, fire him and find somebody that can. That's the reality of the situation. There's a little bit of my rant. I'm losing my wind here. My nose is stuffy. There's a lot of comments to get to. I'm going to go through. We're going to see what you guys have to say about it. I just yelled for a minute and now I'm sweaty. 30 comments to get through. So let's just roll back through. Burrow's putting up great stats when he can, but he still isn't at par. Will he ever be 100%? How much more are we going to expect out of Joe Burrow? We can't expect literal perfection from him. And there's a play where Jamar Chase was running free down the sideline. Burrow didn't see him. I get that. But he's also getting hit every time he drops back. He's throwing the ball to his first or second read almost all the time because he cannot get protection. The interior of the offensive line is failing him. The guard situation is not good. Alex Kappa hasn't really bounced back from his injury from 2022. Cordell Volson, he's not taking the step we're all waiting on him to take. Reality. We got to fire Zach Taylor from Cincy Jake. He also told Pops to preach. Pops knows the deal. Text from Dad Alert. Yeah, we love to see it. Dad knows what's up. The people love you, Dad. I told you. One time he's like, I'll try not to send anything stupid. I'm like, no, dude, fire away. The people love it. Another fire Zach Taylor. If we didn't live in Dayton, he would deliver tacos, but he's in Goshen. Yeah, I understand it. I get it. Mo wants Brian Flores for the next head coach. He was actually pretty good in Miami. I think he got a raw deal. I kind of like that. I like he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. I think he needs to surround himself with strong coordinators, but it's not a name that I would hate. And yeah, time to play the young guns and see what we got next year. Let them make their mistakes now when it doesn't matter. And that's what I can't understand. Miles Murphy is not a bust. Jordan Battle's not a bust. They're just not getting the opportunities. Von Bell is not the future at safety. He signed a 1-year league minimum deal. Play Jordan Battle. What do you have to lose? See what you have. Do you have to attack that in free agency or the draft this year? Or is Jordan Battle going to be the guy? Number 27 should be taking the bulk of the snaps at the free safety position because he's the only guy that's going to be in the building next year. Von Bell's not coming back. And yeah, John kind of touched on what I said there earlier. Cordell Volson and Kappa, bottom 2 guards in the league. I mean, what the fuck happened? Kappa's drop-off has been mind-blowing. And I don't know what it is. The only thing I can think is that ankle injury in 2022, and he just hasn't really fully bounced back. Some people have wondered if it's because he had a child and he's staying up late at night. That happens to me. I was up late. I was up till 4 o'clock this morning. I get it. But hey, you're a professional football player. I'm not. Anyone seen Miles Murphy? I don't think it's his fault. I don't think he gets enough chances. I don't think he gets enough snaps. True, Jake, only because Burrow went off script for a whole half. Yeah, that's what it was. I don't think that was just a great called second half. I think that Joe Burrow made that a good second half. Elizabeth Blackburn's the only one. The worst shit, she's the only one who cares. I think Elizabeth Blackburn is the future of the Cincinnati Bengals. I just think they should maybe get out of their own way and let that happen a little bit sooner. Nick Scott grades better than Von Bell and Geno Stone. Wow. If that's true, which I have no reason to believe it's not true. Holy Santa Claus shit. That's a good idea. Let's hit 1,000 YouTube subscribers tonight. I like that idea, Ben. Shout out. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff that we ask you to do when we're watching this. Garage Beer is the only thing keeping me powered through. Powering me up, keeping me alive. We got another one, folks. Burrow shouldn't buy the offensive line Christmas presents. He should smack them in the face. That's a good one. You know how quarterbacks buy their guys like watches or whatever. Burrow could just walk in and be like, hey, Merry Christmas. Quit fucking me over. And I think it's more the interior. I think Cody Ford played a fine game Sunday night. Did he not? I mean, I know he had a moment or two there, but I think he might have been the highest graded offensive lineman of the game. And that's not good. T. Higgins did say fucking finish, and that's what they got to do. They got to fucking finish. Deuce wants a whole show of dad text. That'd be good. Just a whole text from dad episode. FaceTime dad, bring him on the show. I can't FaceTime. I'd have to send him a link. I love him. I'm just not confident enough that he could figure it out on the fly. 1,000 subs and Drew shows bulge on his stream. That will not happen. I am a happily married man. I will not be showing any bulge on the screen, but we are only 7 away from 1,000. And when we hit 1,000, we're giving away a jersey. So there's that. They won't change the way they do business until Brown is gone. And, you hear a lot about the fact that the contracts are now being done by Katie and Troy. And you wonder if it's even going to change then. Oh, that was gross. You wonder if it's even going to change then, because you hear that they do the contracts now. Bill Belichick, it's not happening, right? Bill Belichick would want an amount of control that the organization wouldn't give him. And we also have to operate from the reality here. Zach Taylor's still under contract. Mike Brown doesn't like paying people not to coach. If I had to bet $100 on it right now, I would bet you that Zach Taylor's back next year. I will tell you that that's the wrong decision, barring some crazy comeback where this team wins out and makes the playoffs, which is not happening. I think it's the wrong decision to bring him back next year, but I can tell you with almost 100% certainty that he will be back next year. I like the Mike Vrabel idea too, kind of like Brian Flores. I think he's a guy that Mike Vrabel showed that he could do more with less, because the Titans organization hasn't always been the model franchise of the NFL. And he took that team to a 1 seed, actually got bounced by the Bengals, but he had success there. But he's another guy where I think he has to surround himself with strong coordinators. Ben Johnson, great offensive mind in Houston, younger, more unproven guy that would probably fit closer into a Mike Brown budget if they were to make the move, but they're not. I don't think that they are. Wedge, live from taco night at the kitchen table. It is Taco Tuesday, Wedge. Shout out to you. Glad to see you here. Lots of talk on the internet about sliding Karras over to guard and seeing if Matt Lee at center does anything. Ted Karras did play guard for New England. He played guard well for New England. But I think from the moment that the Bengals signed him, they said they wanted him to play center. And I just don't think they're going to move a vet who's the anchor of the middle of the line. I don't think that should be changed for a 7th round rookie. But it probably wouldn't bother me if it did. But I don't think you take Ted Karras off the field. He is the leader of that team. Tristan Judd says, we lost this as well, so I won't hate. I believe that's a Chiefs fan. I appreciate you not being a hater. You still are like 8-1, though. But, yeah, that was a hell of a game against the Bills. Mercedita, I'm going to try not to fuck that up because I don't know how to pronounce it. Clean house. Start fresh. That is something that I think that I would agree with. I thought as a fan base we weren't going to mention Mr. Scott ever again. Turns out he's playing better than Geno Stone and Von Bell, so we kind of have to. Osai has been underwhelming. I think that we built a lot of hype off of a preseason before he got hurt one time, and he's never really lived up to it. I'm okay. I'm okay on him. Cody Ford was consistent Sunday night, honestly surprising. It was. And I don't know if you saw, but I put a plea out to his ex-girlfriend, TT, the TikTok influencer. She did see the video. She liked it. And then she made her own video about what I said. So some call me a TikTok trend influencer. But she says that there's no curse on the Bengals, but I think there might be. I did offer to get her the tacos, but we're not feeling good over here. Cam doesn't think Belichick's the answer. Will the Bengals shore up the defense, get Burrow better protection, or get him more wide receivers in the draft? It's got to be the defense. It's got to be draft picks early and often on the defense, and they need to hit, and they're probably going to have to hit fast unless this team just has some change of heart with spending. Or Joe Burrow walks in and says, this shit's got to change. Do it the way I want to. But it's got to be defensive draft picks, and they got to hit. Yeah, Lou might get fired. Lou's still under contract too, though. Is Zach going to be able to make Lou the fall guy and get Mike Brown to eat Lou Anarumo's contract? I don't know. Reality is Zach is going nowhere until that contract is up. Yes. This is from an outsider looking in. We talk about the Bengals every day. That's the reality of the situation. I like to talk about what I would like to see happen, but we have to operate from the reality of he's here at least until his contract's up. Marvin Lewis was on a 1-1. He had a year contract with an option. They got out of it because they didn't have to pay it. They're not going to eat the money for Zach, and it sucks. Drew Garrison, Fred Coach. My wife's been a member for a month. Shout out. I did start that. It made its way to Bengals Facebook. Large Facebook group it got shared into. People start calling me a clown and all kinds of shit like that. He says Vrabel's not going anywhere. He'll be the Browns head coach as of Friday. We talked about this the other day, and you know what? I want Mike Vrabel, motherfucker. But if you keep him, we'll just take Kevin Stefanski. It's still an upgrade, so we can fight over it. But he thinks that the Browns kept Mike Vrabel in that building as kind of a fallback plan for if the Browns season went the way that it is. So we might have to fight over Mike Vrabel, but if we don't get him, I'll just take Stefanski. Anyone else questioning the constant zone schemes from Lou? You're not getting any pressure from the interior. You got to try something other than zone in Tampa too. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he doesn't trust his defensive backs. He doesn't trust his corners. Cam Taylor-Britt is having a terrible season. I don't know what happened. Some people say he's at the club too much. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But, excuse me, fighting through this sinus, whatever the fuck I got going on. But he doesn't trust them. So if you don't trust your safeties and you don't trust your corners, how exotic can you get? But if you look at the second half of that game, when he started sending those blitzes, Herbert didn't know where they were coming from. Lou is the best, not the best. Lou is at his best when he can get creative and disguise blitzes and send pressure and confuse quarterbacks. He hasn't had the ability to do that because he doesn't trust anybody. Now, I personally would rather go down swinging and blitzing and trying to force pressures and turnovers than getting picked apart, sitting back in a zone. But I think I also understand his thinking where he doesn't trust his defensive backs. But if he doesn't trust his defensive backs, he was the defensive backs coach before he got here. Josh Newton looked good. DJ Turner was looking great. Fractures clavicle, out for the year. Hurts my soul as a Michigan man. Hurts my soul as a DJ Turner believer and supporter. Humble brag, I talked to him last night. He's in good spirits. But I just don't think he trusts anybody back there enough to get as creative as he was in the 2021-2022 year. I just don't think he has the same talent. When Jesse Bates is back there, he can erase a lot of shit that goes wrong. Jesse Bates is the best safety in the NFL. I just don't think that he has that. Cody Ford needs to go, and so does McPherson. Sorry, man, he can't guard at all. I mean, it's never a good thing when you're forced to start Cody Ford against Joey Bosa. He did body him one time, though. That was pretty cool to see. Mike Cannon's late. He's got a venison pot roast and naked ziti recipe for the crock pot. I'm a big venison guy. I like venison. I don't eat it anymore. But back in the day when I was a kid, my mom's house was a hunting household. We had a good amount of venison. That stuff is pretty good. Another outside opinion. Lou's good. He has Henderson below average guys. He was in his bag with those blitz designs during the comeback, kind of what I just hit on. And that's true. And that's where I get to the point where I'm saying, how much am I going to blame Lou because he can't do what he's best at because he's hamstrung by the defense? And he's right. Trey Hendrickson leads the NFL in sacks by, I think, 3.5. And that's it. Everybody else looks just like guys out there. He doesn't have a Jesse Bates back there to clean up any messes because he wants to send Mike Hilton off the edge. He can't really even send his linebackers that much. I think that it's taken away from some of the things that Logan Wilson's best at, some of the things Jermaine Pratt's best at. And that's where I get to say, you know what? How much can you blame him? Because they didn't replace anything that they lost with anything nearly as good as what he had. Geno Stone has been an absolute disaster. I think he's a fucking spy for the Ravens. I think it's like that James Harrison year. Remember we got James Harrison from the Steelers? He came here, he didn't do shit, then he left and went back. I think he was a fucking spy. Yeah, prayers up for Juan Drago. Talking to Juan Drago inside, not insider. We've just had a couple conversations here and there. He's a good guy. How many more chances do we give McPherson? We give him through the rest of this season. This is an audition for the rest of his future because the way that his contract is written, I did find out over the last couple of days, there's an out. The Bengals could get out of his deal after this year. I didn't know that. I thought it was like a full 3-year thing, but they can actually get out of it after this year. So he may be kicking for his job the rest of the season. Thanks for the look, Drew. Yeah, no problem, Mike. Yeah, is he a Ratbird sleeper agent? Geno Stone. I don't know. So that's kind of just where I'm at with this. You know, people saying Joe Burrow's not clutch. Joe Burrow didn't close the game out and all that, but what else do you want from the guy? What else do you want the guy? The out next year is like $9 million dead cap. They're not eating that for a kicker. I didn't know that. I don't think that they're going to eat $9 million for a kicker either. I didn't know that. But people asking about Zach Taylor's contract. Zach Taylor's under contract through the 2026 season. That would mean 2 more years. Fuck. That sucks. I didn't know that. I thought for some reason it was 2025. But he's under contract through 2026. So I just think that Joe Burrow is the best thing that's happened to this franchise since it existed. We just got a DM from Logan Truman, who's in the chat. Geno Stone has posted, wow, my phone screen is dirty as shit. All right, let's see what we got here. Geno Stone has posted on his Instagram story. It's just a black screen with 2 peace out emojis. I don't know what that means, but that's where we're at on the season. Joe Burrow's in his press conference. Somebody asked him if this is the most frustrating season of his career. He says, yeah. They ask why. Not a great question. And he says it's pretty self-explanatory. But when he says that, he looks dejected and defeated because he's doing all he can for this team. And some phase of the game fucks him over every time. So you've got that. You've got Geno Stone and Dijon Anthony clapping back on fans on Twitter. Now we got maybe cryptic posts from players on the internet. This season is fucking cooked, guys. I got accused of being on the Bengals payroll for being so optimistic. But let's look at the reality of the situation. We got a bye week. Thank fucking God. I think we all need it. And then we got Pittsburgh. And then we got to go to play the Titans. Okay. Probably should win that. The Browns. I'm thinking the Browns are an easy win? Jameis can throw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks in a season. He can throw 5 touchdowns in a game, or he can throw 5 picks. And that defense is still damn good, and it still matches up against the Bengals well. On a Thursday night football game, I'm not counting that as an easy win. Then you got to play Pittsburgh again. You think they're going to beat Pittsburgh twice? No shot. I've been waiting on the bottom to fall out of Pittsburgh all year, and it's just not going to happen. Denver's getting better. Denver's playing good football right now. I see maybe one more game. There's one more game this season where I look at it and I say, yeah, the Bengals should win that game. I have no confidence they could beat anybody good. I'm not even that confident they could beat the Browns, and the Browns suck this year. Jake with an update on McPherson. Okay, it's $4 million almost dead cap, 0 savings if they cut him next year. Wes, Joe Burrow, MVP pace, Jamar, Triple Crown price, Trace, sack leader. You tell me this in August, I'm thinking we're undefeated, absolutely monstering folks. 4-7 is mind-boggling. Absolutely, dude. If you would have told me training camp closes and you're going to have Joe Burrow playing like an MVP, Jamar Chase leading in all 3 major receiving categories, and Trey Hendrickson leading the NFL in sacks, I would tell you that we're playing for a 1 seed. Not making fucking mock drafts before Thanksgiving. It doesn't make any sense. We've seen 3 of the best primetime games of the year be the Bengals, and it's them letting us down at the end every time. It sucks, dude. It's mind-boggling. And it's almost like there's too much blame to go around to just say, fire Zach, fire Lou. And one person that's not getting talked about nearly enough, and I don't understand why, is Frank Pollock. Why are we still having these issues? We signed Orlando Brown Jr., we drafted Amarius Mims with the 18th overall pick. We gave Alex Kappa the money. We signed Ted Karras, and then we drafted Cordell Volson. So we're asking you to groom 2 guys off that offensive line. The other 3 are seasoned vets that they went out and they paid. Why are you still not having results, Frank? Why is Frank all of a sudden off the hook? Why is this offensive line still struggling so bad with stunts and twists, Frank? That's like a little discussed person on the coaching staff that's failing this team right now, I think, is Frank Pollock. And that's why I think this staff might need gutted from top to bottom, from head coach to fucking ball boy. Yeah, Jake, Denver has a good defense. Bo Nix is figuring it out. Yeah, Nick thoughts here. Denver's defense is no joke. Should we cut Cam Taylor-Britt? We were better without him out there. They won't cut him. He's coming close to the end of his rookie contract, though. But there's next to no chance that they cut him. Yeah, Pollock, no improvement in the run game. He's also the run game coordinator. So you have Frank Pollock, who's your offensive line coach, and your run game coordinator. And we haven't seen the results since he came back. We were just happy it wasn't Jim fucking Turner. But that grace period's got to end. We got to talk more about Frank. You know, why didn't we sign Becton and have him play guard like the Eagles did? If you guys were watching our show back in the offseason, that's something I was asking for them to do. Maybe he's too tall to play guard was the thought, and I understand that because you want the quarterback to be able to see him. The Eagles figured it out. The Eagles offensive line coach turned Fred fucking Johnson into somebody good. I was talking shit before the Bengals played the Eagles. I was like, Fred Johnson's going to be blocking Trey Henderson? Whatever. He got 0 sacks that game. They've turned Fred Johnson into – you guys remember Fred Johnson, just a random guy that somehow became a Bengal? He's good now. Serious question. What does Duke Tobin do exactly? First one to go if he has any say in personnel. He's the director of player personnel, but he's the de facto GM. That's what everybody has said. He's essentially the GM without the title. And he's been there since the fucking 90s. Maybe this team should get with the times and they should just get a general manager. Hire a real general manager. The best thing that the best thing that Duke Tobin ever did was be Bill Tobin's son. He's been in that role since the 90s, dude. With what to show for it? If we cut Zach loose after this season, all we'll have to eat is $9 million. Let's look. Let's pull up the contract. They never really talked about the money that he got with that, but they do say he earns about $4.5 million a year, so that'd be about $9 million. Good job on the math. Not a math guy, but that sounds about right. But I think Mike Brown would eat a family member before he ate $9 million of a coach's contract, if I'm just being honest. So I don't know, dude. Yeah, Bengals fire no coaches, pay out all contracts. We hit on that earlier, Mike. I think you were probably messing with the venison. But that's true. They don't. They don't fire coaches that are under contract. And look at the leash Marvin Lewis got. Marvin Lewis got 16 years. He never sniffed a Super Bowl. He almost won a couple playoff games and got 16 years. Mike Brown, call him what you want. He's patient. He's patient. You can call him cheap. You can call him whatever, but he's patient. Marvin Lewis came back after the disaster that was the 2010 season. You think that the Bengals scrapping and maybe being in the playoff hunt this year is going to be enough to get Zach shown the door? I don't think so. I think it should. I think it's an absolute indictment on a head coach to have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson playing this well and the team not make the playoffs. It is an absolute indictment on the entire coaching staff, but the head of that is the head coach. 5-year rule. Don't happen in 5 years. Not going to happen. And that's where we are this year. He has 6 years, but the first year he didn't have Burrow, obviously. Marvin won the AFC North and in 6 years won more than Zach. That's true. Marvin had a better record at this point in his Bengals career than Zach did. And Mo is right. Marvin got us out of a dark time. He absolutely did. And in the moment, fire him because he wasn't good enough. But now you can step back and say, you know what? I wanted him to get fired. It was time for a change. But I respect and admire what he did. He should be a Ring of Honor member. I just don't want to wait 10 more years to have that conversation about Zach. We can have a lot of good conversations about the things Zach Taylor has done in Cincinnati. Do not get me wrong. But he's just not good enough to do it. And the organization isn't helping him out. So your options, in my mind, and I'm just a dumbass on the internet, the options in my mind are we're stuck in our ways. We're not changing. We need to find a coach that can win in the way that we operate this organization. Or completely change how you function, completely change how you operate, throw your dick on the table, give him everything that he needs to win, spend the money, extend Chase, find a way to keep T. Higgins, go out there, push your chips to the table, trade away future draft picks for stars, do the Rams thing. I don't give a shit. Do that. Give him everything that he should have to win. Know that you did your best as an organization, and he's got 2 years to figure it out. Do that. That's fine. But the status quo isn't going to get it. Joe Burrow can only overcome so much. Jamar Chase can only overcome so much. Trey Hendrickson can only be the only person getting pass rush for so long. You have to change something. Your ways, your ideas, your principles, your beliefs, or your staff. That's where I'm at. I don't think Zach is a Ring of Honor member. I think Zach would probably get a Ring of Honor spot because he did take this team to a Super Bowl. The efficacy of it, I think, is debatable. Sure. But I think that if he was eventually inducted into the Ring of Honor, even if he was fired after this season, I think most people could probably be okay with it years down the line. And you're right. Tittered season 77. Front office is not helping whatsoever. They absolutely are not. We do need a true front office GM scouting, bring the damn franchise into the 2000s. And that's what it is, right? They signed some big free agents. They signed Trey Hendrickson over Carl Lawson, and to an extent, I think they got lucky. But, you know, they did the off seasons where, like, they're spending money. They did it. They got Joe Burrow, all these Super Bowl winning offensive linemen. And then your best wide receiver needs paid. And you can't just make it work. Hold on. Jesus Christ. Excuse me, I'm back. Oh. I'm not like sick. It's just enough to be fucking annoying. Like I don't have a fever or anything, I don't think. Maybe I do, I don't know. Oh, Tito Red season. You're right. The Reds got Tito Francona. I get it. Took me a second. John, I'm not at the top of my game tonight. Jesus Christ. I'm not at the top of my hill. Yeah. Don't forget BJ Hill. He has balled since he's been here. I had not enough faith in BJ Hill coming into this season as the primary run stuffer. But you know what? He's earned the money. And he's earned the money to get rid of Sheldon Rankins after this year, which you can do, and give that money to BJ Hill and keep him here. Everybody, even myself, told Carson Palmer to suck it after his comments at the Super Bowl. Do we owe him an apology yet? You know what? I was a younger guy when Carson Palmer did what he did. And I was bitter. I was angry. I was mad. Now I'm a little bit older. I see it. I've seen what this team can do. Maybe we owe him an apology. Maybe we do. This is Drew's flu game. That's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to do the flu game. I'm out here fighting the battle by myself. Ron's keeping America safe. I'm trying to show up for y'all. We got to talk this out together. This is a group therapy session. The front office did what you should with a rookie quarterback. They spend money on Trey, DJ, Hilton, and Bell. Now your quarterback is not on that deal. Have to spend those picks on the defense. And yeah, Burrow's contract's getting ready to hit. You know what I mean? Like that, it's getting ready to actually get expensive. Those cap hits are actually going to start rolling in. So I think that they are going to have to pay the offense, draft the defense, and you have to hit on the draft picks. And you have a better chance of hitting on the draft picks if you have more than 5 fucking scouts in your scouting department. Credit goes to Lou for the BJ Hill trade. Lou brought him in from the Giants. Duke didn't make that trade. Yes, that was a fleece. They stole BJ Hill for Billy Price. And if that was Lou's doing, which makes a lot of sense because he did come from there, then absolutely good on him. Nick says, I'm trying, buddy. I'm doing my best. I'm leaving it all out here on the field tonight, if nothing else. No, we don't owe him shit. He wasn't the same after the injury. Oh, Palmer. Yeah, the elbow, right? That game in Dallas. I watched that game in South Carolina, did something and hurt my neck. And then I took a very strong painkiller and I woke up in Tennessee. We were coming home like I was supposed to be there, but it was a wild time. We got a text from Dad's wife, text from the stepmom. I don't have a graphic for her yet. I need to get one. Bless. She gave me a bless you because I was sneezing. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think I'm getting on the other side of it. I think by tomorrow, Thursday, I'll be back in shape. Nick submits the Discord as a scouting department. We can have this in the bowl of 2 years, if not sooner. You know, there's some ball knowers in our Discord channel. There really, really are. And I did drop this on the timeline today. Just a little mock-up of what the future could be. Oh, the light's fucking with it. I mean, that could be the future. I think I could figure this shit out. I think I could figure it out. We've talked about the coaching resume. Everybody knows it's undeniable. I won a championship at Nippert Stadium and a championship when it was Paul Brown Stadium on the field. I got two championships in Cincinnati under my belt right now. Billy Price for BJ Hill was hysterical. Just think how BJ and Sexy Dexy would be now. That would be crazy. Ooh, Logan thinks I should maybe make that the new profile picture. Get rid of the garage beer chug. That's become like my signature image. Whew, I don't know. I got the GM spot. I want the South region for my scouting assignment. We got you, Nick. You're in. So that's really the way I feel. I have been lucky enough to have cool opportunities, meet people in the organization and all that. That's all well and good, but I cannot change my opinions and my feelings on this team based on that. This may lose me followers. It may lose me this, that, or the other. But the fact of the matter is you invest your time, energy, and money into this team just like I do. My family knows if the Bengals are playing, don't invite me to something. I'm not going to come. I've quit jobs over this team. I got this team tattooed on my body. This whole room's decked out in Bengals shit, right? I got the clothes, I got the hats, we all pour and pour and pour and pour and pour into this organization. We just need to feel like they give as much of a fuck as we do. They should care way more than we do, but we just need to feel like they give as much of a fuck as us. That's all we want. And it's time to do that because you have the best quarterback this team has ever seen. All due respect to Boomer, Ken Anderson, all that. All due respect to those legends. Joe Burrow is the best quarterback to ever put the striped helmet on his head. And you owe it to that man. Look what this man's been through for you. His fucking knee exploded his first year because you guys thought it was a good idea to start Michael Jordan at guard all year. He comes back on one leg for the first half of the year after blowing his knee out and helps get you to a Super Bowl. And then he gets you back to an AFC championship, and the interior offensive line fails him in that game. He gets sacked 5 times. Chris Jenkins owns Cordell Volson. The Bengals lose. The next year, his wrist blows up because he's playing football for your organization. Like, you have the calf injury last year too. Like, it was a mess, but like, he's put his body on the line. He's taken major hits, major surgeries, missed major time, done major damage to his body, and he's the best quarterback to ever put your uniform on. It's time to match the fucking energy. I'm speaking to this as if somebody in the building is watching. I know that they're not, but I'm just going to say it anyway. We got another one. Drew for head coach. I'll be your agent and I'll tell Mike Brown to fuck off. You know what? I'll do it for dirt cheap. I'm not about the money for me, baby. I just want to see that ring. I want to see that trophy lifted into the sky. Any position. I've told you I'd play left tackle. I've told you I'd play receiver. I've told you I'd be the coach. I'll do whatever it takes for the team to win, and I'll do it for dirt cheap. Just let me make sure I can feed my family, Mike. That's all I need. But you will be taken care of, Dad, in the administration. You'll have all the finest amenities that the stadium has to offer. You'll be treated like a king on game day. I'll make damn sure of it, you and Lisa both. Dad is on a roll tonight. He's not missing. Tonight. Tesh from Dad icon is amazing. Yeah, man, you got to incorporate the OG of the OGs. It's not his fault he didn't know how to comment on YouTube. He can text me right here. We're good. It's possible the Lions spent the money we don't, unfortunately. That's true. That's a good part. That's a good reason why the Lions have turned their franchise around. They paid Penei Sewell. They paid Amon-Ra St. Brown. They paid Jared Goff. They've put the money up. Delmore, hey Drew, despite the rough season, your tweets always make me laugh, so thanks for that. Hey man, if we're not laughing, we're crying, right? You gotta find a way to laugh through this shit. That's the way that I try to do it. So I appreciate that. Shout out to you for the support, man. I appreciate that. So yeah, man, the Lions can turn shit around. The Lions look like they might be the best team in football. But you know what? Dan Campbell is a hell of a football coach. He surrounded himself with damn good coordinators. Aaron Glenn is going to be a head coaching candidate this offseason. He's done it right. The organization has done it right. Fluid cash. Do the Bengals not have fluid cash? I don't fucking know. I find it hard to believe that they don't. They run an NFL franchise that's selling Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase jerseys out the ass. They're selling out all their games. They get the same amount of TV money as everybody else. They may not have as much fluid cash as a Jimmy Haslam who's been scamming truck drivers for 15 years. But they've got to have enough to get it done. You would have to think. They put Bobby Hart out there to defend Joe Burrow from Myles Garrett. They have raked Joey B over the coals. They got to start delivering. Absolutely. Yeah, and Ben Johnson, top candidate too. Detroit's got it rolling. You got Bobby Slowick in Houston. You know, everybody's talking about Joe Mixon tearing it up in Houston. Yeah, he's getting used the way that a back like Joe Mixon probably should be used. And he's in a much better scheme, in a much better run blocking scheme. He's in a much better position. And I think that Chase Brown has done just fine in what the Bengals offense asks a running back to do. Obviously, you don't want him to fumble the ball against the Ravens, but I think that he's done fine. I think the teams both got something that fit them better than what they had prior to that trade. So I'm not one of the, look what the Bengals would be doing if they kept Joe Mixon. No, because they wouldn't be using him the way that Houston's using him. He never stopped being good. He's one of the best Bengals of all time. Don't mistake that. Joe Mixon is one of the best to ever put on the striped helmet as well. He's not the best, but he's one of them. Chiefs fans here, I wish you guys were better so I could hate you again. This sucks. Figure it out so we can hate. I appreciate that. There's a lot of very, very terrible Chiefs fans, but there's some cool people like Aiden right there. I like that comment. That's funny, man. I get it. It's a lot more fun when we're both good and we can hate on each other. The studio has been infiltrated. The wife is retrieving the child's chicken nuggets. We're going to hope she eats them. Yeah, Aiden, one of the good ones. We'll get back to you on that one, Aiden. We'll try. We'll try to be back next year for you. Fravor says Chase Brown without Pollock is Gibbs. Maybe, because Chase Brown always looks like he's about to break one and then it closes. I think that Chase Brown was the fine decision at running back. I don't think this team is in a much different position with Joe Mixon at running back because they wouldn't be using him the way that Houston's using him. He's the true bell cow back of that team. And that's just not how the Bengals operate. That's not how their offense goes. That's not the offense Joe Burrow likes to run. I mean, Christ's sakes, it's 4th and 2 and we're under center. Or we're not under center. Sorry. It's 4th and 2 and we're in shotgun because that's what Burrow likes. Do I think Burrow should put that to the side sometime and run some fucking plays from under center? Absolutely. But you tailor the offense to what your quarterback's the most comfortable with. And I just don't think Joe Mixon fits that. I'm not sure we've ever had a more. Oh, do we believe that Gibbs said the Bengals were going to jump up to 18 and grab him in the draft? I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe also. I find it hard to believe the Bengals were going to trade up to 18 for a running back. It's fun to think about, but I'm not sure I believe that either. Wedge says he's not sure we've ever had a more explosive running back in the backfield than Chase Brown. He gets the ball and he's at full speed immediately. Love Chase Brown. I do too. This is a Chase Brown household. So, yeah, the running back debate, I don't get it. It sucks to watch Jesse Bates get 2 picks in a game and completely change the outcome. That's what really, really stings. But when you look at the Joe Mixon for Chase Brown swap, I'm okay with it. All right, so we're at the 52-minute mark. I've been yelling into this microphone for almost an hour. Questions. We'll just do some Q&A here to close this thing out. Zen Spring says, Ben Johnson for mayor of Cincinnati. Give him the whole key. Maybe that's what you got to do. I know a guy that is a head coach of a high school football team, and he's the athletic director. You got both. Maybe that's what we're going to have to give somebody to come here and turn this thing around. Give them both. Boys, I'm not going to lie. I'm even struggling to get through the garage beer tonight. The sinuses are just fucking out of whack. Big Tiger. Obviously, Duke Tobin deserves heat for a lot of things, but I liked our signings at the time. Obviously, thought Sheldon Rankins would be a force. This might be more a staff issue than anything. Thoughts? You know what? You're right. I was as excited as anybody about the Sheldon Rankins signing. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's a scheme thing. I don't know if it's a defensive line coach thing. I don't know. But he hasn't been nearly as advertised, nearly what we saw in that game last year when he tore the Bengals up from the middle. I don't know. Like that's a very good question. There's some sort of disconnect there because he is giving you next to no interior pass rush, and that's what he was brought here to do. Nick asks if I'm looking forward to Hard Knocks. I don't know if I'm going to watch it, dude. I don't know if I want to watch an inside look at this. I don't know if I want to see Joe Burrow in the locker room pissed off and Jamar Chase in the locker room pissed off and Trey Hendrickson in the locker room pissed off, knowing they gave everything they could and they just can't get any help from anybody else. I don't know if I want to watch that. I'm probably going to watch it. If Burrow leaves the team, do you follow? Man, no. I love Joe Burrow. Don't get me wrong. I think this team's failing, and that's the title of the episode. But I have the helmet tattooed on my leg with the Cincy logo. I am a Cincinnati Bengals fan as much as I love Joe Burrow. If he were to demand a trade and leave, as long as he didn't go to a team I hated, I would root for him and want nothing but the best for him, and I would hope he won Super Bowls, but I would still be a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Greg Cook reference in the chat tonight. Mike's showing his age a little bit. Delmar says, I'm not looking forward to Hard Knocks, but I'm going to get my heart broken all over again. But damn, I'm still going to watch it because it'll still be entertaining. It probably will. I say right now that I don't know if I want to watch it, but I probably will watch it. But that's true, man. Like, I don't want to live this season twice, but I probably will. My wife says if Joe Burrow leaves, Aubrey leaves. My daughter is a big Joe Burrow fan since she was a baby. If Joe Burrow is on the TV talking, she stops, she watches, and she listens. It's been like that since she was a very, very small baby. And if that were the case and she wanted to take her fandom with Joe Burrow, I would let her. I'm all about letting our children make their own decisions. If she wanted to follow Joe Burrow to Washington or something, then I would let her. But they got Jaden Daniels, so it's not going to be there. I was just thinking of a random team. Nick makes a good point. He wants to see Hard Knocks. He hopes it shows the emotion so it makes Mike Brown take notice. And that's true because Mike Brown probably isn't seeing the day-to-day inside of the locker room. I know he's hands-on involved. He's at practice a lot, but maybe that's true. Maybe he does need to see the inside of that locker room after these just heartbreaking, terrible losses. There's some value for that. Wife does not want Burrow to go to the NFC East because she was a Giants fan when I met her. I got her on the Bengals. So she doesn't want Burrow there. I understand that. What if he went to the Giants? They need a quarterback. They just benched Daniel Jones. They dropped Daniel Jones to third string. Tommy Cutlets is back starting, boys, with his fucking mobster-looking agent. But damn it, we're not going to talk about Joe Burrow. I wouldn't quit. I wouldn't quit loving the team and loving the Bengals, but fuck, man, I'd be an emotional wreck. I'd probably cry. I would probably legitimately cry. I fought back tears when he went out for the season last year, if we're just being completely honest and transparent with each other. I was close then. Quick stats in from Logan Truman. Shout out to Logan. He sent me another DM here. Losses when throwing for 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Joe Burrow, 3 of those kinds of games this season. Tom Brady, 2 in his entire career. Jesus Christ, 2 in his whole career. This defense is just failing us, man. They're just failing us. Special teams failing us. I don't have the mental fortitude to imagine not anywhere else. I'm man enough to admit it. Yeah, dude. Makes me sad to even think about. Oh, it makes me sad. Oh, man, that would be a dark day. Imagine your Twitter timeline that day. Oh, boy. Big Tiger, at the very least, I think with how the offense is, Zach probably gets one more year at least unless we collapse further and go 5-12 or 4-13. Lou, though, he's kind of screwed. Maybe. But I low chance of Zach getting fired this year. But I think that if there has to be a fall guy, it's going to have to be Lou Anarumo. But if it's going to be Lou Anarumo, I don't think Lou Anarumo's been given that fair of a hand. If it's going to be Lou Anarumo, Frank Pollock has to go with him, in my mind. Logan's kicking a fat kid in Kmart if Burrow leaves. There's not a Kmart open around me, dude. I don't know where you're even going to find a Kmart. Poor fat kid. I wonder what the hell he's doing. Logan, you're a skinny dude. You look like you're in really good shape. Just looking at the toys in Kmart, and here comes Logan. Just run up fucking kicking him. But you know what? It's an understandable reaction. The thought of it. Ugh. I saw a mock-up the other day where it had like Burrow mocked to the Ravens in a Ravens uniform and Lamar Jackson in a Bengals uniform, and it just made me uncomfortable. It made me angry. Drew talked about earlier, big venison guy. Yeah, I do like venison, but she I'm not a cowboy, you know. I'm not gonna go out and fucking hunt and cover my face in piss and paint and sit out in the cold to kill a deer because I can go to fucking Kroger and get meat. I work. I can just go buy it. I'm not gonna fucking burn the incense and wear the camo and the orange and put piss on my boots and. No, I'm just gonna go to Kroger, dude. I'll just take beef. It'll be all right. Did the last Kmart just close? I don't know where Kmart stands these days. We were actually out near an old Kmart that's some other kind of home store the other day, and I was like, hey, used to be a Kmart. Do we like Chase Brown better at pass pro than Mixon? I do. I personally do. I think there probably are some differing opinions on that, but I think what I've seen out of Chase Brown in pass protection has been pretty damn good. Nick makes a good venison chili. Okay. I don't have access to deer meat, dude. My mom and her side of the family growing up, they were into all that shit. And I was inside watching football. Like I can't do it. Not my thing. Thoughts on the Marco Wilson pickup? I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know who the fuck Marco Wilson was. Come to find out, you remember the GIF, the meme of Andy Dalton throwing the pick six for the Saints, the guy of the Cardinals? That was Marco Wilson. That was also Marco Wilson in the LSU Florida game, who just threw the guy's shoe and got the flag. So I did a little bit more research into him. He looks like a pretty athletic guy. I mean, he did just get cut by the Pats, so that says something. But shout out to Jordan Battle's brother, Jalen. Good Twitter follow if you don't follow him. He was talking about him, knows him, I guess, from back in the day. Says that he thinks it's a good pickup, and I trust his opinion on that. You get venison from Jungle Gyms. Can't say that I've ever been to Jungle Gyms. That's in Fairfield, I think. Can't say that I've ever been there. Kroger's right there, dude. I just go to Kroger. Wife got the Walmart Plus now. We just get shit delivered. All right, it's an hour. We're gonna wrap it up. I am going to go be an active father, get my kid to bed, hopefully relatively easy, and then take my ass to sleep. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. We had one of the highest viewership numbers across all platforms that we've had this season. I appreciate that. Very low effort show. Didn't do the graphics, didn't do the changes. It just felt like a night to let it flow, talk to the chat, get it all out. And the fact of the matter is we just got to start looking at mock drafts. I did a mock draft yesterday, and I got Mason Graham from Michigan to the Bengals at 11. Mason Graham in the middle of that Bengals defensive line would feed families. And I know people don't like the drafting Michigan players. People think I'm a homer because I'm a Michigan fan. The reality of the situation is Mason Graham is far and above the best defensive tackle prospect in this draft. It's a pretty wide gap between him and Guy 2. And if the Bengals lose a couple more here, we might be right in the position where you can maybe get a Mason Graham. And I think everybody would learn to be very, very, very happy with it. Just like we saw DJ Turner Sunday night. Before he got hurt, he was making great plays on those deep balls that were going to Jenkins down the field. He made a few plays. The play he got hurt on, he made a phenomenal play to knock that ball off, and then he just landed on the clavicle, which I think is the collarbone. 6 more subscribers for 1,000 and a free jersey giveaway. So if you are watching and you are not subscribed yet, you could be entered in to win a free jersey. And I think an OG was going to match it, but I don't want to put him on blast because if he decided not to, I totally get it. Perfect show for the times we're living. I appreciate that. I felt that we needed a get it out session, right? The fan base needed a get it out session, and I can't do Twitter Spaces, dude. I try, I can't fucking do it. Everybody just ends up yelling over each other and muting and all. I can't do it. Jenkins and Graham would be electric. There's already chemistry there. They just won a natty together a season ago. Makes a good point. Delmar, can't wait till next time. I'm glad to see you here. I think you're a new name in the chat. Glad to see you. We'll see you in the Discord, John. You already know. I'm trying to get more active in there, but man, sometimes I just blank out. But I need to be a more active Discord member. Alex gets Eli Apple vibes from Marco Wilson. You say that in a good way or a bad way? There's good Eli Apple feelings and there's bad Eli Apple feelings. I'm an Eli Apple guy. I think Eli Apple gets too much shit for his time in Cincinnati just because he talked a lot of shit on the internet. But I think he was actually pretty damn good. So I don't know if he meant that in a good way or a bad way, but I am a Eli Apple supporter. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go be an active participant in my child's life. Hope she doesn't kick my ass too hard at bedtime tonight. I appreciate, love, and respect each and every one of you. We're going to be back next week. There's not going to be a game preview show because obviously there's no game next week. So we'll be back next week on Tuesday. Well, what are we going to talk about then? There's no game to recap. I don't know. I'll talk around. We'll figure it out. We'll be back for something at some point. I love you all. Who dat?
Your boys are ready to go. You already know. Grab a garage beer. Let's flow. No filter needed, beers getting deleted. It's the Cincy Unfiltered Show. Let's go. Our boys are ready to go. Our boys are ready to go. You already know. Grab a garage beer. Let's flow. No filter needed, beers getting deleted. It's the Cincy Unfiltered Show. Let's go.